Chat, what is going on? Good evening. Welcome to the show. Tonight, obviously, Rally Towel Sports Line to Gain. We'll be talking everything football. With us, as always, we have Mr. Corey James, and back again for his second time on the show. You may remember him from the pre-Super Bowl podcast, Joe Wilson. He is here tonight. We're happy to have him. Welcome back, sir.
Glad to be back.
Is that a round of applause?
Yes, sir, it is.
It follows everywhere I go. I hate it.
Well done. Awesome. Well, we got a good show for you guys tonight. We got a ton to talk about. Corey, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like it's Bud Lattes this evening. Is that correct?
Not Bud Lattes.
Bush Lattes. Bush Lattes. Still a classic beverage. I cannot wait to have a beer on Saturday. I have not had.
How long has it been now since you've had a sip of the nectar of the gods?
It'll be a month on Saturday. Be a full 30 days.
Wow, that's awesome. Good for you, man.
Job.
It's rough.
You said you were doing like a whole 30 kind of deal or something like that, right? Or yeah,
Just
good for you.
30 days dry.
Nice.
Got some good results from it though. Down almost 20 pounds. So
Killing it,
right? Yeah. It's
dude. It's gonna add at least 15 yards to your drive. It's gonna be fantastic. Perfect timing.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have one cheat day on Saturday, then we're gonna get back on the grind. So
fuck yeah.
I can't not have a drink for Todd's birthday.
Yes.
I can't not have multiple beverages. So
yeah.
Did he tell you guys did he tell everybody what we're doing on Saturday?
No. I need to hear it now though.
So it's a place up here in Columbus called Bat Flip Baseball. They have hit tracks batting cages, so it's basically like a golf simulator but for baseball. So you get to see how far you're hitting it. You can pick different stadiums, and like it's gonna be fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking lit. So we're gonna see if we still have the ability to hit nukes.
Dude.
I always had the warning track powered. Todd can hit nukes, and we're gonna see. So we might record some videos there and maybe post something to the page if we deem it's worthy.
You absolutely have to. Shout out to Jaden for liking the stream. Shout out to Bruce for liking the stream, and shout out to Caroline. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into it a little bit. We've got a ton to cover, and I'm super excited. We talked a little bit about the Russell Wilson trade on Tuesday. Corey, Joe, I'd love to get your opinions on it. First thing I want to know is who do you think won this trade and why?
Let's kick it. I want to get Joe involved early. I want to hear what he's got to say.
I think the Broncos win the trade just because I think they're closer to competing than Seattle is at this point. But I do think that we're looking at a scenario where possibly a whole lot of pieces were exchanged and neither team wins the trade. You know what I mean? I don't know if we're looking at either team really taking that next giant step here. Now, if you're telling me that if the Broncos would have gone and gotten Aaron Rodgers, maybe. I think Rodgers has got a little bit more in him, but
yeah.
Then all we'd have to hear about is Aaron Rodgers playing in hippie land, and that's all.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. I gotta say the jury's gonna be out on this one. I don't love the trade for either team, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, when you look at it, there's obviously Seattle is getting rid of their franchise quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Russell Wilson, and Denver, in my opinion, has kind of mortgaged their entire future on this contract for Russ. And, I don't think Denver was a quarterback away necessarily from winning that division. Also, I'm not even entirely convinced that Russell Wilson still has what he had. I don't think Russell Wilson is necessarily going to be Russell Wilson of old. The Broncos, that being said, they have some pretty decent weapons on offense, and they got some pretty decent pieces on defense. But I don't know anyone that's like signing up to try and win the AFC West right now. Like no one who wants that, right? I mean, the Chiefs are what the Chiefs are. The Chargers just made a massive trade today, acquiring Khalil Mack for, I believe, a second round and a conditional 6th round pick, which is nothing for Khalil Mack, in my opinion. And they have Justin Herbert. They just signed Mike Williams to a 3-year, $60 million extension, which Bengals fans, that means T. Higgins is going to be very expensive. And they got Justin Herbert. I mean, what else can we say? The biggest flaws of the Chargers were their defense last season. So if they can solidify that, they're going to be looking a lot better. So, yeah, I guess if I had to pick a winner, I'd say Seattle, just because of all the capital that they got back. But I don't see Seattle. I mean, maybe they go get Jimmy G and they flip all these picks into something. That's a possibility. I don't see San Fran dealing with a division rival necessarily, but you never know. There's a lot of things that could shake out. Maybe Derek Carr ends up there, or, they've got some of these picks now. Maybe they can make a trade with Las Vegas or whatever. So we'll see. But if I had to just off the jump, I would say Seattle won this trade just because of the capital and the fact that Russell Wilson, this isn't Russell Wilson of 5 years ago, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, to be completely fair, I don't think Russ really had a fair shake last season. He had a shit line.
Sure.
So we'll see if a change of scenery does something for him. He's 32 years old. He's still young. Yeah. He's got a lot of time left in this league. If he can turn it around and have a good year. So
he feels older than that.
He does.
Right? Yeah, he feels older than 32.
Well, because he acts older than that. He acts like he's 63 years old. He's just like, I'm going to go to dinner at 4:30 and eat a steak at a diner and then have a nice read and go to sleep. Like that's what Russell was. That's Russell Wilson, in my opinion. Just a weirdo.
Sierra and I are going to go to bed at a sharp 7:30.
Yep. We have to wake up for sunrise prayer and
he's
just going to put out some weird tweets.
He's the football version of Tim Duncan.
That's a really interesting comparison, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Russ is a little bit more flamboyant in terms of his activity on social media. I guess social media wasn't really super huge for when Tim was there, but why else do you say that?
Yeah, Tim Duncan was probably just writing letters to people instead of tweeting. But if you sit down and talk to him, he's probably a somewhat interesting guy, but really just come off as kind of boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, how about a nice story about a bridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Have you read this book about nautical signs? Sit down.
Sit down. No, that's his coffee table book. Everybody's got a coffee table book. Some of them have like Ansel Adams photography. People have like weird, trippy stuff. He has nautical signs and knots.
Yeah.
A seaman's life. That's on Russell Wilson's coffee table right now. A seaman's life. It's a beautiful book. I mean, we had some other QB moves shaken out over the last couple of days too. Carson Wentz is now a Washington Commander. Initial thoughts.
Frank Reich apologizes to the front office. Do you hear this?
Yes.
No, I didn't. Explain.
He goes to the Colts front office and apologizes for vouching for Carson Wentz. I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this.
Wow. Ever. What a fucking shot. Can you imagine Carson Wentz, how he feels right now?
I know. Did you guys happen to watch the in-season Hard Knocks with these guys?
No.
I heard it was actually really good though.
They were good. They seemed like they got along well. They seemed like they might be buddies. And then I reading today, and it's like Frank Reich actually went to the front office and said, "Hey guys, I'm really sorry for vouching for this guy." It's like you missed the playoffs game.
Wow,
it's that scene from The Hangover where Bradley Cooper is calling Doug's wife is like, Tracy, we fucked up. That's Frank Reich going to Jim Irsay's office right now. Peyton jumping in the chat saying, I told you, Peyton, you did. You're right. Peyton, welcome back, man. And Will, good to see your faces, gentlemen. It's good to see your words, sir, as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Eagles fans were more excited than anybody about this trade. I saw a lot going on in Twitter and Facebook, social media about Eagles fans being pumped that Carson Wentz is still going to be throwing balls to the Eagles. So at least 2 times a year, which made me giggle pretty hard.
Dude, that's fucking hilarious. It's fucking hilarious.
I mean,
Philly fans are brutal, dog. They are just hardcore.
Bunch of savages out there in Pennsylvania. But no, I mean, I think it's a great trade for the Colts, a terrible trade for the Commanders. I don't think Carson Wentz really has any good football left in him. I think he peaked in Philadelphia, and that's not saying too much.
Bob, who's this guy fucking roasting you in the chat right now, bro? Jeff Burton. The day Carson is a good QB is the day Bobby can hit a straight drive. Damn,
Jeff, it's like that. So Jeff actually runs the foundation that we're donating to with the March Madness course.
Got him. Got him.
Yeah.
So I know we're on a new platform tonight.
It's like something 400 yards.
Yeah, this dude hits absolute fucking missiles.
Well, I'm gonna have to get down there and get in there and just so I can watch that. I don't plan on taking any long drive or longest putt accolades, but I just want to see that shit. We're on a new platform tonight, fellas. Just a quick housekeeping note. You go up to the right there. There's a little pink chat bubble or a little chat bubble up on the right. You should be able to drop out the chat and see all the chat for yourself, so you don't have to keep hopping in and out of Facebook and all that good stuff. So just a little housekeeping note there. But Carson Wentz going to the Commanders, the note that came out was that the Commanders called everybody because they were in search of a veteran quarterback. I'm good. Here is a demonstration of the Commanders calling the Cincinnati Bengals to inquire about Joe Burrow. Ready? This is Zach Taylor. Yeah, hi, Ron. How are you? Ron, are you feeling okay? Okay, goodbye. That's the conversation that happened today between the Washington Commanders and the Cincinnati Bengals when they called for Joe Burrow.
Do you think they really had the balls to do that?
That's what I was going through. It's like, are they that fucking dumb? Like
they might have asked about Brandon Allen.
Yeah, can we get Brandon in here, please? Can we get some balls underthrown?
Yeah.
To Terry McLaurin, please.
They'd had a better chance of calling Tom Brady to see if he'd come hang out than getting Joe Burrow from the Bengals. But
we got the likes rolling in. Corey, thanks for liking the stream. I know I missed a bunch of you guys that were liking the stream, but everybody's liking it. Appreciate it. If you're feeling extra saucy, go ahead and share the video. Let's get 400 fucking people in here for Joe joining us tonight.
Absolutely,
it's going to be a hell of a show.
But yeah, amongst other things, we had Aaron Rodgers get a massive deal at age 38, a deal that you probably wouldn't see for anybody else. 4 years, $200 million, $153 million guaranteed. Although Rodgers came out and said that those weren't the exact terms of the deal. Whatever somebody posted, it was
right.
Okay, how different is it, Aaron? Like, are you getting 185 guaranteed? Like, what's like? Like
yeah, Will with the subscription. Thank you so much. Like he basically was like, yeah, actually I haven't signed anything and those aren't the terms of the deal yet. So thanks, but no thanks. Like even in a time when it's like, hey, let's all come together, Green Bay Nation. Aaron Rodgers continues to just be like, eat my ass, fuck you. Like that's consistently what he says to the public on a regular basis. And
absolutely.
This guy's in a position to be like one of the most beloved sports figures there is. He's the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. And to me, like every time he opens his mouth or shows his face, he becomes less likable. And I don't understand how people continue to like him. I really don't. there was like a period of time a couple years ago. I'm like, maybe I'm giving him too hard a time, and it's like, no, I'm not. He's just an unlikable dude.
Well, and Bobby can vouch for me. I mean, even on this show over the last, I don't know, 12 months, I've kind of had a change. At the beginning of the season, I'm
You
like,
stuck
I'm
up
all
for him.
for. Yeah, I was in Aaron's court. I'm like, get paid, Playboy. Like, do you that's consistently how I align. Like, I'm normally with the players. Like when Zeke was, like Zeke was holding out, I was all about it. I was like, yeah, dude, get your contract. Dak wanted to bet on himself. I love that. Yeah, go for it, man. And so Aaron was kind of doing that same thing, playing hardball. It's like, okay, do you want me or don't you? Because if you don't, somebody else will, kind of thing. And I loved that too. But just this, like, the way he carries himself on, going on Pat McAfee show and just kind of like half-ass being there and like, yeah, man, I'm just like chilling and like nothing is bigger. Like, there's so many bigger things in football, man. Like, not to anyone in Green Bay, bro. Not to anybody in Green Bay.
Yeah, that's
like that is the
fucking
biggest
life.
thing to them. That is that. Yeah, and you are the fucking quarterback. Like,
Yeah.
just
I mean, just look at
where I start
like the
falling off.
class that Brett Favre had versus Aaron Rodgers. It's just unmatched. Ryan coming with a comment and said Rodgers looks like Frank Gallagher off Shameless.
You lift up his shirt, he's got kidney scars and shit.
Favre had class in Green Bay. He gets to New York and he sent a couple pictures.
It took the words right out of my mouth, Joe. I was like, let's not forget Brett Favre definitely sent dick pics. Like,
Favre was an everyman now. Favre was an everyman. That's why everybody loved him.
I see my Peyton Man thing. Yeah. Danny Woodhead. Fucking awesome.
Oh, absolutely shit. But yeah, awesome. I mean, it's a massive deal. It takes him into his early 40s. Regardless of the exact terms of the agreement, right. Aaron, it's still a fuck ton of money and a ton of it guaranteed. So it didn't hurt them from a cap perspective. It actually helped them.
Right.
Lowered his cap for the next years because he had so much guaranteed. But I think that's a lot of money for somebody who's that age. I mean, he doesn't take care of his body like Tom Brady did. I don't see him. Do you see him here's a big question. Do you see him being
Karma, Bob? Let's not forget Panchakarma. All right.
Right.
Panchakarma is the cleanse. Do I need to go into any more detail? Are we aware of what the cleanse was?
Here's the question I want to ask you guys about both of you. Do you guys see him putting up like $50 million a year is MVP level?
I mean, he was just the MVP.
Do you see him maintaining that pace over the next 4 years?
I don't see. I didn't see any decline this year. I do think it's one of these contracts that's not meant to actually be played out. You know what I mean? Like that. It's player friendly. It's one of these contracts. Like, as a Bengals fan, it's lost us free agents in the past, but Mike Brown refuses to sign them because he won't sign the mythical contract. He gives you what he feels you're worth, and then he'll pay the contract.
Yeah. But
he won't give you the 4-year deal when he knows he's only going to pay you for 2. So I'm not sure that's going to be a 4-year deal. But if it is all 4 years, I don't know. I'd say he's got at least one more MVP caliber season in him. But like you said, this guy's not Tom Brady. He's not putting in. If he put in the Tom Brady work, can you imagine? Can you imagine his natural ability?
He'd have a couple more Super Bowls.
Yeah. Brady.
I mean, he didn't decide to kick that field goal last season, or not last season.
That's true too.
The season prior, but I think a couple of points. Tom Brady obviously went the science route. Aaron Rodgers has gone like the holistic route in terms of taking care of his body. Both have played at an extraordinary level for a very long time.
He's immunized.
If Aaron Rodgers, I mean, if Tom Brady is like the bar now, no one will meet that, in my opinion, in terms of like longevity and performance. I don't think anybody's really going to be around that level because he's the greatest of all time. But I think a couple of things to think about. Aaron Rodgers obviously has the best wide receiver in the league still on his team. One of the best offensive-minded coaches in the league. They have some things that they need to fix on defense. They're a lot better than they were the year prior, but they still have some things that they need to fix. So whether or not the Packers can do it, time will tell. The main takeaway that I got from what Joe was talking about though is the mythical contract. That's the thing that we're not, like, a lot of people don't really understand. Like, yeah, the NFL has a salary cap. What are you going to do? The salary cap is a myth, ladies and gentlemen. It's not real. It doesn't exist. What it boils down to is how much money is the owner willing to put into cash. If you pay it up in cash and it's not part of the salary, you turn it into a signing bonus. Doesn't hurt the team at all. That's what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. They signed him, made him the highest paid quarterback in the history of the league at the time. And then they restructured his deal, I think, the next year or maybe the year after that, something like that. They restructured the deal, liquidated a bunch of cash out of the salary cap so they could go and make the moves for the offensive line like they needed to do. And it's not real. The salary cap is not real. It just comes down to how much cash they're willing to spend. So there's a couple of things that a lot of teams could do. Like, for instance, the Bengals could restructure the last 2 years on Tyler Boyd's deal and free up, anywhere from $2 to $5 million in salary cap. There's things that you can do to just re-sign a player, put most of that salary of the previous contract into a signing bonus, and then you're free to make some moves. So I see, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers played 1 year and then retired.
Yeah.
Because $153 million of that is guaranteed. So,
especially if he was to come back and win the Super Bowl this year,
Could you imagine him playing 1 year for $153 million and then
most Aaron Rodgers thing he could
throw
do?
the deuces up and just bouncing?
Very Aaron.
That would be insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll go live in a yurt for sure. A mud thatched roof.
Would not surprise me though. Peyton came in with a comment. We can definitely get to this. Bears had some news today. They traded Khalil Mack to the Chargers. Now, I didn't get an opportunity to really dig into it. What did the Bears receive for Khalil Mack?
So the Bears, I believe, got a second-round pick and a conditional sixth round, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that to be the terms of the trade. I will look that up as we get into it here.
Joe, what do you think? Good move for the Bears? Good move for the Chargers?
Hey, I think Khalil Mack's one of the most underrated defensive football players there is. I hadn't heard of the trade until we got on here, so I hadn't heard the terms. So once we hear the terms, what are we thinking it's for again?
I believe it's for a second round and a sixth.
No personnel, just potential, future prospects.
A second and a sixth, I think that's a steal.
I think that's a steal for the Chargers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you put him. Golly, that pass rush just got better.
Yeah, I mean him and Bosa, on the same team. That's gonna be a Von Miller, Aaron Donald-esque type.
So I've got it right here.
Defensive pass rush.
Chargers are sitting at 2022, so this upcoming draft, second round pick and a 2023 sixth round pick. So if it's even more nothing. It's even more of nothing.
It's spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that just sounds like the Bears just didn't want to pay him.
The Bears wanted him off the books. Boy.
Yeah.
That's a bad move for the Bears. I mean,
I think that they got under market value. They wanted to get him off the books. He is their, biggest piece to move. They are in rebuild mode, which if you're Justin Fields sucks for you, but part of the game.
That's a painful move for Bears fans to take, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a really big, painful move. Just because, okay, with that second round pick, are you getting Khalil Mack? Right? With that second round pick, where are you replacing that production on your defense? Where is it coming from? Is it coming in the sixth round next year? God, I fucking hope not if you're a Bears fan. Rob, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Rob, a huge Bears fan that joins Line to Gain often, is
Yep.
I hope you're doing it. Can we get a wellness check on Rob? Let me get my intern to check this out. Wellness check on Rob, please. Thank you. We care. Your family, Rally Toss Sports community. You are family. We're going to take care of you.
Digging the sweater tonight, by the way, Corey.
Dude, this is a score from Marshall's, I believe, maybe 3 years ago. Is fantastic. I felt very Alaskan when I purchased this. So
it's like real 1990s too, you know.
Well, that suits me. I've been told many a time that I am a Gen Xer trapped in a millennial body. So that makes a lot of sense.
What year were you born?
Makes a lot of sense. 1991, baby.
Golly.
Yeah.
91.
I'm the
Yes,
old
sir.
guy.
Yes, you are.
We're not
you are,
ageist.
You are the old guy. It's okay.
We aren't ageist.
We need that knowledge and wisdom
Yeah.
brought upon from you.
I think we need a minimum of like 3 back in my days for every show that Joe's on, just like back in my day, and then just drop something.
For it. I'll bust it out. I do that way too often. I'll say back in my day, or I'll be like, I don't know, like 5 years ago, and it was really 20.
It was like 2003.
Yeah.
That was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Or I'll say, you know, it really wasn't that long ago when I was in high school, and I'll be like, dude, my 20th reunion's coming up. So
yikes.
Yeah.
So there, with the quarterback moves that we've had over the last couple of days, it kind of puts some things in different perspective for teams that need quarterbacks and for guys that are still kind of available, right? Mm-hmm. The top 3 that come to mind for me are Jimmy G, Deshaun Watson, and then I guess I would go with like Derek Carr or Mitch Trubisky, like those guys that are, you know, potentially either on the move or free agents. I saw Colin Kaepernick's name pop up on Twitter today from a retweet. He's apparently working out in the best shape of his life, whatever that means. And then you look at teams that need quarterbacks. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for one. Is Houston satisfied with their quarterback situation? Obviously, the Colts need a quarterback. Seattle needs a quarterback. If Derek Carr moves, Las Vegas is going to need a quarterback.
So just to double back on the Seattle thing, you don't think they'll start Drew Lock this year?
If I'm a Seattle fan, I don't want to start Drew Lock this year. I know Drew Lock is not capable of being a starting quarterback in the NFL. He could be a backup for a very long time, and he could be on rosters for a very long time. But I've seen enough. I've seen enough out of Drew Lock. I think we had a text thread going when we were watching the Broncos at some point, and he just doesn't have it. Doesn't have the accuracy. Doesn't have the decision making. You can't hit the deep ball down the sideline. And when you're this far removed from the draft, how much more time do you need, man? And I get he's kind of been jerked around in Denver. Like there's kind of been a lot of flipping and flopping. There's actually been a ton of that for every quarterback in Denver since Peyton Manning. But I'm not convinced Drew Lock's the answer. So maybe you do out of necessity. But if you're that front office, you're trying to get somebody else, I think. If you want to compete, maybe you're trying to tank.
Yeah, who knows? Joe, what do you think?
As far as Drew Lock, I don't think I think they go after somebody else. I don't think he plays up there. I don't know who they go for though. Are they in the it depends on what they're trying to do. If they're trying to compete, then what is the asking price for Carr?
Yeah, that's a big question mark. What are the Raiders expecting to get out of Derek Carr? Because in my opinion, Derek Carr is kind of like the new Andy Dalton line. He's pretty much in the middle of every statistical category. Like he's not awful. He's like Ryan Tannehill. I think he's a little bit better than Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion. Yeah. And that's not a knock. That's like, listen, we are in a time where there has never been better quarterback play and there's never been worse starting quarterback play. The parity between the top and the bottom in the NFL is so vast.
It's astronomical.
It's crazy when it comes to quarterback play. It's absolutely insane. And So to say you're in the middle of that doesn't necessarily mean you're bad. So I just want to be clear about that because I don't think Ryan Tannehill is a bad quarterback. I don't think Derek Carr is a bad quarterback. I don't necessarily think they're able to win Super Bowls with those guys based on who else is playing in the league at this current moment. So like Derek Carr is not leading a team against Josh Allen. It's just not going to happen unless Josh Allen's on a deprived roster. I just don't see that happening. So yeah. I mean, like a third round pick, a third, like a second and a fourth, and some, I don't know. I don't know
think
because
he's worth a second or fourth, but I think maybe a second or fourth. I don't know what the market is though. He's going to set the market. But real quick, I want a sidebar, and I don't want to get hung up on it, but I got a question about the Seattle situation. It looks like, looks like to me like they're blowing it up, right? So why hold on to Pete Carroll?
No, Bobby, let it rip. Bobby hates Pete Carroll with a burning passion.
I'm not a fan myself. So
Pete Carroll is the worst coach in the NFL.
Wow.
I just, if you don't like, I'm going back. I'm talking about old shit right now. How can you not give Marshawn the ball?
Hey, that's a great. That
is officially when he became the worst coach in the NFL. All other 31 coaches would have been like, "All right, Marshawn, here's the ball, go score." Right?
Yeah.
I mean I have had zero respect for him since that moment. And I mean, I agree. I mean, they released Bobby Wagner, so they're there's no more members of the Legion of Boom. Bobby Wagner's gone. That defense is just not there. Russell's gone. Their running game is mediocre. I mean, I would get rid of Pete Carroll and start from just the absolute bottom of the bottom, and start. I mean, there's a ton of coaching talent out there right now, and Pete Carroll's almost 100, so he needs to hang it up anyway.
Well, that's my point. Is that you're going to start a rebuild now with the oldest coach in the NFL? Is he still the oldest coach in the NFL? Or
yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I think it's
who would be older?
Belichick.
No, he was older than
no
Belichick.
Shot.
That's the only one that could come to my mind that would even be close. But I'm fairly confident that Pete Carroll is much older.
Arians is like 30 years younger than he looks.
Yeah, I think Pete Carroll is far and away the oldest head coach in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, at this point, if you're Seattle, Pete Carroll did what no one had been able to do until he got there, though. And that's win a Super Bowl in Seattle. So brought a championship to the city of Seattle.
Bill Belichick is 69. Pete Carroll is 70.
See, I knew it was fucking close. Wow. Get off my back, boys. You know who the fuck I am.
I was just curious at that point. But yeah, Joe, I think you hit the nail on the head there, man. Pete Carroll, he needs to retire. I think we see Bill Belichick retire soon, honestly, too.
Wow.
I think if things don't go well in the next couple of years with, Mac Jones and they have to do another rebuild, I don't think he's going to stick around for it.
I think
scares me like the Bear Bryant situation. You guys know the story of Bear Bryant? Like Bear Bryant retired from coaching, and like 54 days after he retired, he died.
Yeah, kind of the Joe Paterno.
Yeah, Paterno. Yeah, that happened. That similar thing happened to him too. He had a couple more things going on in his life, but
just a few. But I think, I mean, it's some of these guys. It's the last thing they're holding on to. You know what I mean? It's their life. Bill Belichick, 100% is a football lifer. Been in the game and involved in the game since he was 16 years old. At the latest. I mean, he probably played, Pop Warner and all that stuff too. But some of these guys, it's everything.
All they do.
Yeah, and that's why he's great.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that's why he is who he is.
You do something for almost 50 years, over 50 years. I mean, if you're not good at it at that point, then I don't know why you've done it so long.
Yeah, you've got a very supportive wife at that point, I think.
Yeah.
Putting up with your shit.
Right.
Quit playing with your action figures. They're collectibles.
All right. Well, as we kind of transition here, there were a few franchise tags that got tossed out earlier this week and throughout the week. Mike Gesicki got hit with a franchise tag down in Miami, and hitting home here close to you guys. Obviously, the Bengals tagged Jesse Bates. So, um, I will let you guys start with that. Corey, let's get your thoughts and on Jesse Bates getting tagged.
Yeah. I think Bengals fans everywhere. This is the last. This is the second to last thing that they wanted going into this uh, free agency time period, go right before the draft and everything like that. This is the second to last thing that they wanted. The last thing that they would have wanted is nothing. Whereas the Bengals didn't reach an agreement with Jesse Bates and his camp, and they didn't apply the franchise tag to him. Maybe they opted for a cheaper franchise tag and used it on CJ Uzama or something along those lines, right? Shout out to Will liking the stream. So I think, in all honesty, this is a positive. Jesse Bates is on the team for next year. They've basically extended their bargaining window out to, I think it's July 19th or something around that time, midsummer. And now that that is taken care of, the Bengals know how much money is allocated towards Jesse Bates for this year. It was the easiest thing to do. Now that they can focus their time, energy, and more importantly, their capital on other areas of need throughout the team, which, let's be honest, we were in the Super Bowl. But there still are plenty of things that the Bengals need to do to address. I don't know, maybe think of one that they might need to address this offseason.
Long snapper.
That's it. Long snapper. Obviously, it's the offensive line. There's a lot of needs there, and there are a lot of available quality offensive linemen in this free agency. And I view it as the Bengals checking a box, moving forward, and putting a pin in it as something that they can come back to. So I'm okay with the franchise tag. I honestly think that the Bengals probably put a competitive offer on the table, and Jesse Bates wants to probably be the highest paid defender in the league, and it wasn't that. Jesse Bates might deserve to be the highest paid defender in the league right now, being that he's up for contract. And some of his peers over the last couple of years have been getting big money. But honestly, the Bengals have a lot of guys coming down the pipeline in the next few years that they're going to need to resign that are more important than Jesse Bates. I'm sorry, but it's true. There's one of them that takes the ball every snap. Where's number 9? Maybe you've heard of him. His name's Joe Burrow. That contract is going to be huge. let's be very clear.
I think that's going to be a very, very heavily front-loaded contract with a lot of guaranteed money. I mean, Mike Brown's not going to mess around with that. I mean, that's the franchise. I mean, if there's no quicker way to get assassinated than to not sign Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. I think there would be a fucking riot if that occurred. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Joe, what do you think?
I think that I don't see anything wrong with it. I think that's why the franchise tag exists. I know that a lot of people were pretty disappointed. Especially, it sounded like at one point we were pretty close. I know the tweet went up with the same the big eyes that Mixon used when he got his contract, and I think a lot of people thought that meant that it was going to get done.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of fans kind of project themselves into these players, and you'll hear it's like, well, now he's going to be disappointed. Now he's a pro.
Yeah.
He's gonna be on the field, and he's not gonna even be thinking about the contract except for when somebody asks him about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if nothing else, if he is thinking about it, he's gonna be mad and he's gonna be playing for money.
Right.
We're trying to win a Super Bowl. We have bigger needs to fill right now.
Yep.
So we need to go do that. And yes, filling a safety position is easier. Maybe not his quality, but it's easier than filling an entire offensive line. Also, I this is splitting hairs big time because he played a phenomenal postseason last year. He did not have a very good regular season last season. He disappeared and he missed tackles. He had I won't say he didn't have a very good. He had an un-Jesse Bates like regular season,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
then
think particularly at the beginning
season he
part
woke
of the
up.
season. Yeah, I think mid to late season he turned into an animal again.
Yeah,
But to start the year, it was un-Jesse Bates like, at least from my untrained eye. But towards middle and the end of the year, it was like, yeah, this guy's cooking right now.
yeah,
And the way he finished the season, the postseason in particular, he was far and away the best player on the Bengals defense. He anchored that defense. He will continue to anchor that defense next season. And here's another reminder, ladies and gentlemen: the Bengals can franchise tag him again next year if they need to. So I don't think Jesse Bates is going anywhere. I think really what this really was is the Bengals checking a box and being able to focus their time, efforts, and everything else on other things. Remember, the Bengals had a shorter offseason. The Bengals and the Rams had the shortest offseason in the history of the NFL, actually, with the elongated regular season and going to the Super Bowl. The Bengals had less time than everybody to do a lot of things like prepare for the draft, which is about a month and a half away at this point. I think it's the 28th of April, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So right around the corner, a lot of prep work left to be done. And this is the Bengals checking a box and moving their attention elsewhere. And
Yep.
I don't think fans should be super concerned until we see what the Bengals do in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot that goes down. Free agency officially hits next week. That will be, sorry, let me get the day here. Next Wednesday, the 16th, I believe, is when the market officially opens for the free agents to start pursuing teams and vice versa. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk behind closed doors already, but we'll start seeing a lot of the pen to paper next week. And seeing where people land. So it's definitely going to be an interesting show for us next Thursday. Make sure you tune in because there's going to be a lot of action between Wednesday and Thursday. That's going to be sweet. Moving on from the good old Benjis, the Lions. What are their plans going into the next few weeks and preparing, and especially next week with free agency? What do you think their needs are? And where do you think they go?
Yeah, so the Lions have a lot of needs. Let's be very clear. You don't end up being number 2 overall because you're a good team. And the Lions were not a good team, but what they were was a team that played hard, a team that compete. And towards the back stretch, you started seeing a couple of people shine, like St. Brown and Josh Reynolds, who they just signed to a 2-year extension. I think it was like a $12 million, maybe even a $10 million deal. Very team-friendly deal for the Lions to get some consistency out of a guy that they saw some production down the back end. But along those lines, what the Lions really, really need is a prolific scorer, somebody that can stretch the field, somebody that can be an option for Jared Goff. If Jared Goff is going to be the guy that they ride with next year, which we've seen a lot of mock drafts seeing Malik Willis going to the Lions at number 2 overall lately, which would be very, very interesting. But I think there's a couple of opportunities for the Lions to make a big splash, and his name is Allen Robinson. Rob, if you're watching, I'm sorry. But if the Bears are in blow-it-up mode, who's the next biggest piece that they have? It's Allen Robinson. Free agency starts in, what is it? I don't know.
6 days.
6 days. If they can move Allen Robinson before then, they will. If not, he'll be an unrestricted free agent. Does anyone know where Allen Robinson went to high school? He went to St. Mary's, which is in Orchard Lake, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. Now it's just a perfect story. It'd be a perfect story. Bring him home. You get your prolific scorer again. He's going to sell jerseys. He's going to sell tickets. He's going to get people into the stands. That's in my mind what the Lions need to do is build a reason for your fans to come back. You're not going to necessarily be able to win the division this year, I don't think, with Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay. Now, if Kirk Cousins gets moved and obviously a new regime in Minnesota and the Bears are on their way down, maybe they could, compete for a wild card spot. But right now it's building some excitement, and I think Allen Robinson really does that. So look for the Lions to make a move in pass catching. Obviously, I already have T.J. Hawkinson. They're not going to be testing the tight end free agent market. I think they're pretty confident with Swift in the backfield. So wide receivers, be on the lookout for the Lions in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big things they were missing. I mean, I think DeAndre Swift's is a solid running back. I don't think they really need to address any needs there, but yeah, they need to get some support there for Jared Goff. Obviously, I feel like they've got a few O-line needs, as does everybody, but addressing the wideout situation would probably be the most important.
Honestly, the Lions might have the best offensive line in football behind the Colts, in my opinion. Now, not everybody's thinking that, but I really, really like their offensive line. They've got Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, and Frank Ragnow. That's your two bookends and your guy right up in the middle with Frank Ragnow, who honestly is probably the best center in the league, which pisses me off still to this day because the fucking Lions took him one pick ahead of the Bengals. And who did we end up with? BJ Hill, basically. We took Billy Price. Yeah, so that's who we got after Frank Ragnow. And then, obviously Taylor Decker at left tackle, or excuse me, yeah, and then Penei Sewell at right tackle, I think is how they're shook out by the end of the year when Decker got healthy. They've got those pieces there. They need another pass catcher, and they really need a lot of help on defense. But I look for the Lions to try and build that through the draft.
Yeah. Joe, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I feel like a kid in school. He stole my thought.
Sorry.
No.
I talk a lot.
Yeah.
Feel free to just jump in and cut them off at any point in time.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson, I think, and I think they're a spot for Will Fuller, a place where he could end up going to try to resurrect his injury and performance enhancing career.
I had Will Fuller on my fantasy team that year that he popped, and he was having such a good year. And I was like, oh, that's why.
I'm a genius.
Yeah. I mean, he is but they have to do something. I mean, they have to do something to stretch the field because with that wide receiver crew, they were such an anemic and stagnant offense. And I totally agree about the offensive line. I'd make the trade right now. Let's just pick it up, and we'll give you all of our offensive linemen, Bengals, and you give us all your offensive linemen, and let's go. And we'll be playing in Super Bowl 57.
You think they're taking that trade?
I don't think they're taking that trade, but
you could trade the entire Bengals O-line for just their bookends in Detroit, and they probably still turn it down.
They might. They might.
They might.
There are a lot of, obviously we mentioned Allen Robinson and Will Fuller. Jamison Crowder had a decent year last season in New York. T.Y. Hilton, I don't think he got the franchise tag in Indy this year. They might want to try and keep him around. Juju, free agent, coming up here in a few days. Sammy Watkins, Zach Pascal. AJ Green is a free agent. Byron Pringle, very, very fast. Byron Pringle for out of Kansas City. I believe he was their return man, if I'm not mistaken, as well. There's another free agent who was injured in the Super Bowl, Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I don't know when he's going to be coming back. I think they're looking at like a November timeline for OBJ to be back on the field. But that would be exciting. That'd be a reason for fans to come in. But I highly doubt him going to Detroit.
I think he said that he's going to re-sign with the Rams.
With the Rams, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. To be honest with you, I think that he's happy there. He's very productive in that offense, and we talked about that leading up to the Super Bowl. Obviously, I wasn't on the show with you, Joe, but Odell is flourishing in this number 2 role, and I think it's really where his home is, and it allows him to not have the burden of carrying an offense or needing to be the showboater. He is a nice side of roasted Brussels sprouts next to your New York strip that is cooked ever so delicately. Bobby, take notes for our meal that you're going to be cooking me.
You ain't getting Brussels sprouts in this house. I'll tell you that right now.
Pardon me, sir. I don't believe you have that call. Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with Brussels?
I hate Brussels sprouts.
First of all, whoever told me as a child that Brussels sprouts are not good, whoever spread this lie when I was a child that Brussels sprouts are not fucking delicious, I need to have a word with you because they are scrumdiddlyumptious. Bobby, you roast them. You put a nice little balsamic glaze on it with some bacon bits and Parmesan cheese.
I don't care what you put on it. It is not. They are not good.
I don't know what's wrong with it. What's wrong with you?
There's something. I love asparagus.
You put A1 steak sauce on your steak too?
No. Why? Why would anybody do that?
All right, just making sure.
No, I don't put it on there.
You don't pick the menu. You lost.
I mean, I've never cooked Brussels sprouts, so you might not be getting high quality Brussels sprouts.
It's true. I have to take in consideration your culinary abilities, which are aplenty. I know that very much. They are aplenty, sir. And I look forward to enjoying them. We need to plan that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just say we need to plan that meal, Bob. Maybe it's a draft party. I think we could do a live stream of me and Todd being served by you and eating as we discuss the draft and have a fine meal like gentlemen. Maybe we'll even suit up. I don't know. Because last draft, you know what I did? I got pissed drunk and drank a full liter of Kirkland margaritas. That's what I did.
I remember.
So this would be a step up.
Get some nice whiskey and some whatever cut of meat you would like.
What did you do that you owe them dinner?
The weekly pick'em that we did. I don't know if you caught that.
No.
So yeah, we did a season long pick'em, and I did not win.
Steak.
I ended in the cellar. So now I've got to go down to the cellar and grab my finest bottle of wine.
You have a wine cellar?
Yeah.
Do you really?
No.
Oh, dude, I was like, that's fucking badass, dude.
Corey looks so impressed. You should have had him. You should have kept it going.
You should have lied.
He's like, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
Next stream, you should have got a green screen and just made it a wine cellar. Yeah, I'm down here in my wine cellar.
Do the fake walking down the stairs. Be like, I got to go grab a bottle.
Yeah.
This is a good vintage.
It's a good vintage $10 bottle that I just got from Kroger.
2009, excellent year.
So, are we going to see any trades happen?
There's one in particular that I'd be pretty interested in. The Dallas Cowboys have announced that they are shopping their right tackle. His name. I'm sorry.
I said it is La'el Collins.
Yeah, La'el Collins. That's what I was trying to look up his name. It was escaping me. Yeah, La'el Collins is available. 1 year, $10 million is all that's left on the deal at this point. That's very doable for an upgrade at right tackle. Riley Reif is not going to be there. Potentially retiring is some that I've heard for this season. So I don't know, Joe. What are your thoughts on the Bengals? Throwing like a second round pick at it.
I'd be all for that.
Yeah.
At this point, having never done heroin myself, I feel like the heroin addict who got the little bit of taste on the tongue in the Super Bowl, and now it's like,
oh my God,
I'll do anything to get back. So yeah, what do you guys need? Yeah, I'll give you that.
That is awesome. I feel exactly the same way. Honestly, it's like if we don't make the Super Bowl, I'll be disappointed at this point.
Yeah,
Honestly, that's where I'm at as a Bengals fan. If we don't make the Super Bowl, I'll be disappointed.
yeah.
Bobby, from coming from someone that's seen their team win 2 Super Bowls, what is that realistic? Is that where you were kind of at every year as a Steelers fan going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, every year I felt like we had a shot. We had a shot to be there. Obviously, the year that we got there and lost, I was like, man, we got to get back. We got to get back there next year and get it. But it's a great feeling to know that your team can play at that level and play for that highest stakes consistently. And Bengals fans for the first time in 3 decades actually can enjoy that feeling.
Yeah.
Knowing that their team has the fullest capabilities of going and winning a Super Bowl, which I have been quoted on this show saying it will happen within the next 3 football seasons, and I still firmly believe that. They're too talented right now. If they're going to win one, it's now. If they don't win one, it's never going to happen. I'm just throwing it out there. So they'll be back. They'll be back to the Super Bowl. I think they've got a really nice shot to do it this year. If they can stack the offensive line this draft, I don't think they really need to go after anything else. I think the rest of their team is for the most of the way together. Obviously, with Bates getting the franchise tag and keeping that defense, in line, I think they can make another run. They just need to not. They need to go out and win games that they're supposed to win this year, and not lose the games that they are supposed to win. I think if we can see that out of the Bengals this year, I think you see a Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, I think it really depends on what they're able to do over these next few days before free agency hits in terms of re-signing players and the guys that they need to cut. Like there's a few guys in the interior of that defensive line that are free agents if they don't sign deals here in the next few days. I'm talking about Larry Ogunjobi and BJ Hill. Depends on what these guys are going to be asking for. They had phenomenal seasons last year, so they could be asking for a lot. They could be asking for more than the Bengals are willing to give them. And if that's the case, and the Bengals do throw a bunch of money at the offensive line, then when it comes to the draft, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see at 31 overall the Bengals take an interior defensive lineman, or the Bengals take a corner, or something along those lines. I've said this a few times on the show. The last 2 years, if not 3, all of them with Zach Taylor's, off seasons. What you've seen specifically over the last 2 years, free agency cap room, all the moves in free agency has been focused on bringing veterans in on the defense, getting that defense to a point where they know how to win. And when it comes to the premium picks, so your first 2 rounds in the draft, they've been offense every single time, right? Now I think you're going to start to see that flip. I think you could see the Bengals start going after veteran winners, proven players on offense, and start using high premium draft picks, rounds 1, 2, and maybe 3, to address the defense. Because you can't just keep signing veterans on defense. You can't just keep doing that. You got to start funneling in some of those guys, which they've had late round success in. Let's not shrug that off. Jermaine Pratt. Huge third season out of Jermaine Pratt. I mean, he was on the verge of being like, okay, is this guy gone or what? But massive season out of Jermaine Pratt.
Clutch.
Yeah, massive. I mean, he won the first playoff game that the Bengals ever have won in my lifetime. Logan Wilson, 3rd round pick. Amazing year out of Logan Wilson. Literally named my dog after him. Just phenomenal. It was kind of also after you, Joe. But yeah, and I'm sorry, some of these defensive players are escaping me right now. Joseph Asai, a 3rd round pick that flashed really good in preseason. Obviously had an injury that put him out, but a guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing over the coming years. So if they can evaluate defensive talent that well, I think they could make some really, really nice acquisitions at the front end of this draft in that regard as well. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, chat, if you guys have any questions for us, please at any point in time, type it in the chat. Let us know what your thoughts are. It's going to be a lot going on in the next couple of weeks. We did have a surprising suspension come out earlier this week. Mr. Calvin Ridley pulled a Pete Rose esque type play.
Kinda.
Kind of. I say esque
Yeah.
very, very liberally. He threw $1,500 down in what was it, 18 parlay?
An 8, 5, and a
parlay.
3, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Either way, it got him suspended for the entire season. Joe, what are your thoughts on that, man? What do you think about him throwing some cheddar down on a parlay?
All right, here's the thing, and I've talked with people, and I think I end up sounding like the old guy here, so forgive me if I do. You gotta, in my opinion, you have to be smarter than that. And I know the NFL does end up looking like hypocrites in this, which is not anything new because I think the NFL is pretty hypocritical in a lot of the ways they do their business. But it's one of the rules listed, man. You can't bet on the game, even if you're not in the locker room, even if you're not playing. You have the ability, in theory, to influence the outcome of a game. You cannot be placing the bets on the games. You can't do it. It's too slippery of a slope. I don't care if it was $1,500. I don't care if it was 1.5 million. I don't care if it was 15. You cannot place a bet. I don't know. Like,
yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, and I for the most part I agree. The only thing that I'm not really okay with is the whole season. If they had shown like habitually betting or shown that he bet on games that he had participated in or something like that, I'm good with the full season. Vernon with a comment here says it makes it more interesting that Ridley did this after leaving the game for undisclosed reasons. Leaving the game meaning leaving the game of football. I had read that it was mental health is what he was taking some time away from the game to focus on, which obviously we don't want to downplay that by any means. If that's what he was doing, the question that comes to my mind is who is he surrounding himself with when he's not around the team? Who are these people that he's with that he feels that he can make these decisions that are going to jeopardize his career? And that's you are the result of the 5 people you hang out with the most, right? That's a common saying. And is Calvin Ridley hanging around the people that are going to help him in his career, or is he making some choices that are going to negatively impact his career?
Yep.
The thing that keeps getting brought up a lot is Calvin Ridley gets suspended for a year. Adrian Peterson gets accused of child abuse. He misses 6 games. At the time before the video came out, Ray Rice was suspended for 2 games. Obviously, Ray Rice, once the video dropped, egg on the face of the NFL, which it came out that the NFL had already fucking seen that video when they extended that 2-game suspension. I don't know where is the measuring stick in terms of morality in the NFL? Like I don't get that. Like Zeke, again, he missed a couple of games for accused assault and domestic violence, and who else? I mean, there's been so many, honestly. Did Tyreek Hill even miss any games when he was accused of it? I don't know. So the only thing about that is the U.S. justice system in terms of domestic violence is already so broken that it's hard for the NFL to be a more perfect solution to that. Whereas it's pretty clear cut what he did here when he was gambling, that they just went ahead and took this out. Like they just went ahead and put this sentence on him of a year. It was clear cut. You broke this rule. There's no gray area here, but I'm sorry, but here's your suspension because we know matter-of-factly that you did it. And that's the only logic that I've stumbled upon for as to why he got the full year versus some of these other suspensions that have been handed out over the last few years.
But Corey, you bring up a couple good points that I gotta say slipped my mind that I hadn't even thought of. because I made it purely about the gambling, that I ignored things that I've complained about the NFL before. So I'm glad you brought those points up because it helped open my eyes back up. Because how long has the NFL and Roger Goodell viewed themselves as the judge, jury, and executioner over everybody that plays underneath them, underneath their flag? Like, and even at different points, changing rules last minute, deciding what they want to enforce, what not. Like you brought up, just like you brought up, they'd seen the Ray Rice video. That was damning. I don't know how he kept his job. How do
Yeah.
you keep your job after that? Then to find out that they tried to destroy the Spygate videos, and then one that never gets brought up, and I think it's because of the Patriots, but I don't know if you guys remember this. So under Deflategate, prior to Deflategate, it was a $40,000 fine to the team. It was a written rule that if you were caught with deflated footballs, it was a $40,000 team fine. Period. It happened before many times.
Right.
Then it happened to the Patriots, and it blew up. So they invented to enforce the rule differently again. And so the NFL doesn't have a leg to stand on, and they're still trying to police morality. So yeah, you're right there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no objectivity when it comes to the NFL, when it comes to handing out different suspensions or different, violations and things like that. The NFL does what the NFL wants to do, and if you don't like it, well, that fucking sucks. I don't know what to tell you. And what owner is going to stand up for another team? Like, if
right,
every owner in the NFL is ultra competitive, at least for the most part, a majority of them are, right? And if you're telling me that we're going to hand out these, suspensions or fines, or we're going to take draft capital or whatever it is against your competitor, who else is going to be like, don't do that, do that? No, they're gonna take that penalty and be like, all right, sweet, cool, moving on. So who we taking at 31? You know what I mean? So it doesn't. There's no separation of powers, if you will. The NFL does what they want, and they hand out the sentences in that regard. So,
yeah, just to mirror it, Corey made a great point. It's matter of fact, it's on paper. It's extremely tangible evidence. So, I mean, you can't do it. I mean, nobody's ever been able to do that in the history of sport. Why do you think you're special? So,
I heard enough. Go ahead, Bobby. Sorry.
No, okay. I was done.
I've heard the argument like the NFL has 3 gambling commercials, every other commercial. And it's like, listen, my customer is one of the largest brewers in America. I cannot show up drunk to work. That's not how that works. Just because it's one of their sponsors doesn't mean that the players have a right to break the rules. Like, you can't. But,
and I mean, look, if anybody has ever been on DraftKings, if you haven't, go for it if you're into it. But there are 7, 8 other sports that you can bet on.
Yep.
Go bet on those.
Yep.
Why are you betting on football? You can even put bets on college football. Like,
yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. If you want to bet on college football, go do that. Why are you betting on the NFL?
Go do a 15-team parlay.
Yeah.
On a Saturday.
Yeah.
Like,
if you got that itch, you can scratch it elsewhere. Yeah, you can scratch that itch elsewhere for sure.
For me, that's kind of where my head went. I was like, it doesn't make sense, man. There's other games, there's other sports, other levels that you can bet on. Why are you betting on your specific sport? It made zero sense to me.
I fail to believe he wasn't thinking this is a bad idea. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You think you're saying you think he knew that he was doing something wrong when he did it, or do you think he was just like, oh,
he had to have been thinking this is a bad idea while I'm doing it. Had to have.
Yeah, he probably just thought he was going to get away with it. I just placed one bet. As long as I'm not making a lot of traffic, not throwing a lot of money, nobody's going to even think twice about it. But little did he know that there was a mass investigation going on about this very topic. And pulling IP addresses and things like that, and just goes
Everybody's
to
always
show.
watching.
Yeah, especially when you're a high-profile player such as Calvin Ridley. I mean, he just cost himself $10 million. The Falcons are screwed next year. I don't know who's getting the ball. Kyle Pitts is going to blow up, but we saw what they did last year without Ridley, and it wasn't much. So,
and I would put money on it that if that 15 or that parlay had hit, he wouldn't have won 10 million.
You know what? You're probably right, Bob. You're probably right.
For lack of a better word, dad joke.
Mm-hmm.
Dad joke of the evening.
Pretty good.
Chat, do you guys have anything for us tonight? What do you guys want to hear us talk about? Is there, if you guys have a team other than what we've covered that you root for, free agent wise, we'd love to touch on it tonight. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but Steelers quarterback situation isn't great. Obviously, I think they're going to go somewhere free agency. I just don't know where they're going to go. All right, fair enough. So, Joe, who do you think is a good fit for Pittsburgh?
If I was going outside of the team, which I would quickly, I think I like Mitch Trubisky. I really
better
do.
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, like I think that if Trubisky's got a chance to resurrect his career and have the ability to be a starter, it's going to be there. And
Peyton said the same thing.
It's not far from home for him. You know what I mean? He's used to being in that kind of weather. And
that's a good point. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think it's either Trubisky, being that he's a free agent and you can just sign him.
Yeah.
The only other option that they really had would be to go after Jimmy G. I know it's not a conference trade, it's not a divisional trade. For the 49ers, they would be willing to go and make that move. In terms of the guys that are available, that are current players, obviously not through the draft. Those are the two that come out strongest to me. Those are the two that I would want. I think Jimmy G is better than Derek Carr. And I think in terms of what you'd have to give up to get Mitch Trubisky is just cap room. And I think that there's a benefit to that in terms of some other things that the Steelers want to accomplish in adding pieces to this puzzle. So those are the two that stick out to me as top candidates for the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think Trubisky makes the most sense. He's going to allow them to do what they need to do in free agency. They're not going to have to give anything up. I think that's the biggest thing. They don't have a ton to give up right now or any pieces that I would really want to lose, personally. So I think that's the best move, either that or go to, try to find somebody in the draft. But I think we need to hold off for next year until we draft a QB. QB class can be much richer next year than it is this year.
I also think we need to stop judging quarterbacks by how they did in Chicago. Like, that should be you know what I mean? Like, if you're drafted by the Bears and played 3 or 4 years there, that doesn't count. Your career starts when you get to your next team.
Yeah, and to be fair, Trubisky didn't start in Buffalo. I mean, he obviously had some time that he played, when they were blowing people out or things like that. But yeah, I mean, Trubisky was the last winning quarterback that the Bears had. He took them to the playoffs twice. So I think there's something to be said about that. He's got a decent win percentage. He's got a decent completion percentage. It's not like, it's a hell of an upgrade over Mason Rudolph. And if you can get a serviceable quarterback in there and do what you need to do to be the Steelers, which is compete. The Steelers aren't. I don't think they're walking in as a Super Bowl team unless they just go out and throw a bunch of money at this offensive line and then, make a trade for Jimmy G. Then you're talking different Steelers, right? But I think they have some ground to make up still. There is going to be a lag between quarterbacks and figuring out what you can do with your players in that change away from Ben Roethlisberger. So. Yeah, I think Trubisky could be a great option for them to just come in and not be horrendous and continue Mike Tomlin's streak of not having a losing season.
Yeah, but it's not Haskins. I don't even know if Haskins wants to play football, to be honest with you.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean he's just collecting a paycheck at this point.
It's good on him. Good for him, man.
Yeah,
I think
I mean it's not a bad gig. If you can,
Fuck
got
no.
bit by Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah,
being lazy and
Jamarcus, when you show up for camp 30 pounds overweight, it's a bad sign for your number one overall pick.
Can we get him to play right tackle? Golly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of chatter about worst first round picks, and he's pretty much there at number one in my opinion. So
has he surpassed Ryan Leaf? Is he?
Ryan Leaf was so good in college. Like he was so good. And like it really was a flip of a coin. Like the Bills didn't know. The Colts didn't know who they were taking for a little while. And then Bill Polian's like, I'm going to take Peyton. He's a little bit smarter. And then he turns out he's a lot a bit smarter.
Right.
Could you imagine if they passed on Peyton and took Ryan Leaf?
Dude.
The whole landscape of the NFL is different, right? We're talking potentially different rivalries in a time period that, we were cutting our teeth in watching football. So yeah, that's just
the Colts might not be in Indianapolis anymore.
Wow.
Because they were in the RCA Dome. They're trying to get a new stadium. It's the house that Peyton built over in Lucas Oil. That place doesn't get built. So they got to go find somewhere else to go. They end up someplace. Maybe they go to LA. I don't know. We could write this one. That'd be fun.
It's an alternate universe somewhere that this has happened.
Yeah.
The multiverse exists.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, do you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on tonight?
Yeah, I think there's one thing that I want to continue to plug. I think we're going to plug this every single night that we jump on the stream. As announced,
I lost you both.
Oh, we got you. You're still here.
We can hear you.
I'm back.
You're back. You didn't go anywhere. You're always with us. And we're going to announce this every Rally Tile Sports broadcast that you get, whether it's Town Hall Tuesdays or Ring 'em Up, or as it was announced last night on In the Post, our newest show every Wednesday night. Come on and check us out if you're into NCAA basketball or the NBA, or you just like hearing my sweet, sultry voice. I will be there Wednesday nights with Todd Gottschall. But we're going to be doing a charity fundraiser for the BHV Legacy Foundation. It is a March Madness bracket pool. The link is up on our Facebook page on Rally Tile Sports. We're going to tweet it out. We're going to send out carrier pigeons, smoke signals. We're going to rent a plane to write it in the sky. But we are hosting a bracket pool. $20, unlimited amount of brackets. You can enter as many times as you want. And it's going to be a 50-50 split with the BHV Foundation. And if we exceed over $500, if we exceed over $500 total dollars, so $250 to the foundation, $250 to the winner, we will go ahead and get a kickback for second place as well. If we can get really crazy, raise $1,000, we can get a kick out for third as well. So the more people we get in, the higher the payout for everybody, the more money we can raise for charity, which, as you know, there's nothing more we like here at Rally Tile Sports than gambling and raising money for charity and helping people out. So if you could just go over to our Facebook page, all our Venmos are listed on there. Let's get this thing going. Obviously, we don't know who all the teams are just yet, but you can go ahead and get your spot in the Rally Tile Sports bracket pool. And that's the only other thing I wanted to talk about tonight, Bob.
All right. Perfect. Well, yeah, it's a great foundation. Popped in chat a little bit earlier. Excuse me. Our boy Jeff Burton. He is one of the one of the initials in the BHV Foundation. So he's definitely one of the co-founders. Great guy. He can hit a golf ball a mile. Although I'm going to talk nice about you, even though you talk shit about me.
Wow. What a guy.
I'm going to take the higher road here. But no, it's great. They do a golf outing every year. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. DM me if you're in the Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus area. They usually do it out in the 797 Elks in Wilmington. So super fun course to play. So if you're interested in that too, let me know. Other than that, we're good for the evening. We're gonna hang it up. Joe, appreciate you coming out again tonight.
Yeah, Joe, thanks, man.
Guys will be seeing his face a little bit more often. We're gonna try to incorporate him and integrate him into the streams a little bit. But yeah, you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you Tuesday for Ring 'em Up. Sorry,
Alrighty.
I just saw your text.
It's okay.
So
You gave me a great window, and I jumped